The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka's construction sector expands in August 2025 amid rising project activity and renewed optimism. Colombo consumer inflation rises to 1.5% in September 2025 as food prices accelerate. Colombo stock market inches higher as investors trade cautiously amid mixed economic signals. And Wall Street ends slightly higher despite looming US government shutdown concerns.
From Studio 24C, here's Prashansa Gunawardena.
Good evening and welcome to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's construction PMI rose to 61.1 in August 2025, signaling strong sector expansion. Increased project activity and new orders boosted confidence despite longer supplier delivery times.
Sri Lanka's Construction Purchasing Managers Index PMI reached 61.1 in August 2025, indicating continued growth in the sector. The rise reflects increased project availability and the resumption of previously suspended projects. New orders also grew, with road development and water supply projects leading the way. Employment and purchasing quantities rose, showing optimism for sustained expansion. However, suppliers' delivery times lengthened due to higher demand for construction materials. Overall, the construction sector remains confident amid ongoing activity and positive market conditions.
Sri Lanka's external current account surplus reached $2.039 billion by August 2025, supported by stable financial inflows and a high private savings rate. Despite missing its inflation target, the central bank's monetary stability has helped facilitate outward payments and maintain a strong exchange rate. The country continues to rely on budget support loans from the ADB, World Bank and IMF, while bilateral loan inflows remain minimal. Recent policy changes, including scrapping the Lombard rate of a single policy rate, have eased some inflationary pressures and improved external payment conditions. However, the risk of inflationary policies returning remains, potentially affecting forex availability. Overall, Sri Lanka's external sector shows resilience amid cautious monetary management and ongoing debt repayment obligations. Consumer prices in Colombo rose by 1.5% in September 2025, continuing the upward trend after months of deflation. Food price increases and core inflation contributed to mounting price pressures, with the central bank expecting inflation to approach 5% by mid-next year.
Consumer prices in Colombo increased by 1.5% year-on-year in September 2025, marking the second consecutive month of rising inflation after a prolonged period of deflation. The Colombo Consumer Price Index showed a slight rise from 1.2% in July, driven mainly by higher food prices. Monthly prices also rose by 0.2%, reversing a 0.4% decline in July, with notable increases in milk powder, wheat flour, coconuts, fresh fruits, and other food items. Core inflation, which excludes volatile food, energy, and transport prices, remained steady at 2.0% annually through July. Non-food prices rose more modestly by 0.7% year-on-year, with declines in petrol, diesel, and construction materials easing some inflationary pressures. The central bank anticipates inflation will continue rising toward its 5% medium-term target by mid-2026, supported by lower base effects from the previous year.
Sri Lanka's external sector showed steady recovery in August 2025, driven by strong export growth, rising remittances, and a tourism rebound, according to central bank data. The current account recorded monthly surpluses, while the merchandise trade deficit narrowed as exports outpaced imports. Tourism earnings rose $259 million in August, with visitor arrivals increasing 20.4% year-on-year. Workers' remittances grew 17.9% in August, contributing significantly to foreign exchange inflows. Despite net inflows into government securities, the Colombo Stock Exchange experienced net outflows in August. The Sri Lankan rupees depreciated 3.3% against the US dollar over 9 months, reflecting currency pressures amid improving external fundamentals. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market posted modest gains today, with both major indices closing higher. The ASPI and S&P SL20 saw slight increases, reflecting cautious investor sentiment. For further insights on this, we have Salama Sanoon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. The Colombo Stock Exchange extended its winning streak with another positive session, kicking off the month strongly and marking its 12th consecutive day of gains. The all-share price index closed at 21,851, having registered a gain of around 73 points. The index faced some pressure due to the intraday volatility observed, however, managed to remain within the green zone throughout. The top positive contributors for the day were Melster Corp, Hemas Holdings, Diesel and Motor Engineering, People's Leasing and Finance, and RIL Property PLC. The retail segment showcased prominent participation, followed by moderate levels of high net worth involvement. Turnover for the day stood at 6.5 billion rupees, reflecting a decrease of around 9% compared to the monthly average that stands at around 7.1 billion rupees. The capital goods sector took the lead in terms of sector-wise contributions to turnover, with a share of 15%, followed by the banking sector and the food, beverage and tobacco sector, which together accounted for around 26% of the total turnover. The top three price gainers for the day were Kotagala Plantations, the Autodrome PLC and the Candy Hotels Company, whereas the top three price losers were SMB Finance Voting, Standard Capital PLC and Ceylon Hospitals PLC. Thank you.
Sri Lanka held a government bond auction today to raise funds for public spending and debt management. Investors participated actively as the country seeks to stabilize its financial position and amid ongoing economic challenges. For further insights on this, we have Aknath Enakon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prasansa. The central bank held its weekly Treasury bill auction today, successfully accepting bids equal to the total offer amount of 43 billion rupees. The 3-month bill was offered at 8 billion rupees and received bids totaling over 12.3 billion, of which 5 billion rupees were accepted. The 6-month bill continued to show strong demand, with bids reaching nearly 55.8 billion against an offer of 25 billion, resulting in 35.9 billion rupees being accepted, which is significantly higher than the initial offer. Meanwhile, the 12-month bill saw bids of approximately 12.7 billion rupees against an offer of 10 billion, with just over 2 billion accepted, reflecting lower acceptance relative to bids. Overall, the auction attracted total bids of 80.7 billion rupees, more than 1.8 times the offer, illustrating robust investor appetite. Weighted average yields remain steady across maturities, indicating stable market sentiment amid high demand for the medium-term instrument. Thank you.
Gold prices hit a record high in Asian trade today as the US government began shutting down after Congress failed to approve fresh federal funding. Spot gold hit a record high of 0.2% to $2,875.53 an ounce, while gold futures for December hit a peak of $3,903.45 an ounce. Spot prices traded slightly below the record at $3,862.22. Other precious metal prices also clocked hefty gains this week as safe haven demand spilled over from gold. Spot silver rose 0.9% to $47.05 an ounce on Wednesday, while spot platinum fell 0.3% to $1,572.18 an ounce. Industrial metals were also sitting on sharp gains this week, but saw some declines on Wednesday. Benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange fell 0.1% to $10.27 a ton, while COMEX copper futures fell 0.7% to $4.84. Oil prices were little changed in Asian trade today, as a draw in US crude inventories helped stabilize markets after 2 days of sharp losses, fueled by speculation that OPEC Plus could raise output again in November. Brent oil futures expiring in December edged 0.2% higher to $66.15 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 0.1% to $62.46 per barrel. Both benchmarks have fallen more than 4% in the past 2 sessions, pressured by reports that the producer group may opt for a larger supply increase at its meeting next week. Gasoline and distillate inventories increased by 1.3 million barrels and 3 million barrels respectively. The Sri Lankan rupee remains steady against US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today compared to yesterday. The buying rate of the US dollar remains unchanged at 299 rupees and 30 cents, but the selling rate is also unchanged at 304 rupees and 80 cents. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed against other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lankan Airlines has partnered with UnionPay International and Bank of Ceylon to introduce UnionPay as a new online payment option, enhancing convenience for Chinese travelers.
Sri Lankan Airlines has added UnionPay as a payment option on its official website in collaboration with UnionPay International and Bank of Ceylon. This expansion enhances the airline's already diverse payment options, including Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Alipay, and WeChat Pay. The move aims to provide greater convenience to the growing number of Chinese travelers and international customers. Muthu Tennakon, head of commercial at Sri Lankan Airlines, emphasized the airline's commitment to a seamless travel experience through inclusive payment options. UnionPay's country manager Crispin Wijesekara highlighted the partnership's role in expanding UnionPay's presence in Sri Lanka and supporting digital payments.
United Motors, exclusive distributor of Mitsubishi Motors in Sri Lanka for over 40 years, unveiled the versatile 2025 Mitsubishi range at Hyde Park Corner. The lineup includes 4 mid-range SUVs, the Triton double cab pickup and the fuel-efficient Adrage sedan. The new models feature modern aerodynamic designs, advanced engines and updated infotainment and safety technologies. The all-new Outlander Sport stands out with its bold styling and urban-focused features. Group CEO Shankar Yatubara emphasized the company's commitment to quality vehicles and after-sales service across 8 locations. The 2025 Mitsubishi range offers a comprehensive selection for diverse needs, combining performance, reliability and value. The first ever Sri Lankan edition of Essentials of Modern Marketing by Professor Philip Kotler was recently launched, featuring Sampath Bank as the only bank case study.
The Sri Lanka edition of Essentials of Modern Marketing by Professor Philip Kotler was officially launched at Cinnamon Grand Hotel in Colombo. Sampath Bank is the only bank featured as a case study in this landmark publication. The case study highlights Sampath Bank's innovative touchless cash withdrawal service introduced during the COVID-19 pandemic. This pioneering solution was among the first of its kind in Sri Lanka and Asia. Taraka Ranwala, Senior Deputy General Manager at Sampath Bank, emphasized the bank's commitment to innovation that solves real societal challenges. Being featured in the publication reinforces Sampath Bank's dedication to purposeful marketing and transforming customer experiences.
Bernard Filton Ceylon Private Limited has launched its new collection of vests and t-shirts under the rebranded identity Boats by Bernards. This move is a part of the company's strategy to modernize its product range while maintaining its reputation for comfort and durability. The collection, developed at its Colombo factory, features high-quality materials with a focus on breathability and relaxed fit. Managing Director Sweksha Boteju highlighted the brand's commitment to expanding its reach beyond corporate clients to everyday consumers. Founded in 1948, Bernard Filton is one of Sri Lanka's oldest apparel manufacturers with a strong legacy. The new collection is now available at their retail outlet in Korwala, signalling a fresh chapter in growth and innovation. Hotel Developers Lanka Limited has completed a major guest room renovation at Hilton Colombo, boosting its market position amid Sri Lanka's growing tourism sector.
Hotel Developers Lanka Limited has successfully completed a major guest room renovation at Hilton Colombo, enhancing the hotel's appeal in a competitive market. The upgrade aligns with Sri Lanka's growing tourism sector and the hotel's strategic transformation plan. In 2025, the company also achieved debt refinancing, reducing borrowing costs and improving financial flexibility. Cost optimization measures were implemented to enhance operational efficiency and profitability. Hilton Colombo aims to return to profitability for the first time in 8 years, despite increased competition from new 5-star hotels. Future plans include launching the Sri Lankan curry leaf restaurant, modernizing the grand ballroom, and negotiating its management agreement to optimize operations.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks advanced today, tracking overnight gains in Wall Street and as strength in technology shares offered support. Japan's Nikkei 225 and Topix indexes were the worst performers in Asia, falling 0.7% and 1.5% respectively. Tech-heavy Asian bourses were the best performers today, with South Korea's Kospi up 0.8%. Broader Asian markets were a mixed bag. Singapore's Straits Times Index rose 0.6% on strength in tech shares, while Australia's ASX 200 fell 0.3%, extending losses after the Reserve Bank of Australia struck a hawkish tone yesterday. India's Nifty 50 index rose 0.2%, stemming recent losses after the RBI held interest rates as expected. Amidst uncertainty over a potential US government shutdown, Wall Street saw quarterly and monthly gains, with the S&P 500 marking its biggest September gain since 2010.
Wall Street's main indexes managed to end Tuesday's choppy session higher, with the Dow gaining almost 0.2% to close at a record high, the S&P 500 climbing about 0.4%, and the Nasdaq adding 0.3%. The gains came despite a potential U.S. government shutdown, which would delay key economic reports and muddy the Federal Reserve's interest rate policy outlook. All three main stock indexes gained for the second quarter in a row, and the S&P 500 registered its biggest September gain since 2010. Stocks on the move Tuesday included Pfizer, which climbed more than 6.5% after the company cut a deal with President Trump that grants it tariff relief in exchange for lower prices on certain prescription drugs. Chipmaker Wolfspeed surged 29% after the company successfully emerged from Chapter 11 bankruptcy with a substantially reduced debt load. And shares of Firefly Aerospace sank more than 20% following a testing mishap that destroyed the core booster for its centerpiece Alpha rocket.
Lufthansa faces a potential pilot strike after Union VZ backed a walkout over pensions, heightening disruption risk as the management resists better benefits and weighs shifting jobs to subsidiaries.
Germany's Lufthansa could face a strike at its main airline. Pilots Union VC said on Tuesday its members had voted in favour of a walkout in a dispute over pensions. It's the union's final attempt to pressure Lufthansa into agreeing a more generous pension deal. It comes just a day after the airline group held its Capital Markets Day, presenting its plan to become more efficient. In a statement, VC gave no timeline for the proposed industrial action. The airline has resisted calls to strengthen pension rights and has threatened to move more jobs to its cheaper subsidiaries, Discover and City Airlines. Still, the threat opens the door to more costly and disruptive labour action for Lufthansa. It's already faced several labour challenges over recent years as it struggles to cut costs and pursue growth. On Monday, it unveiled plans to cut 4,000 administrative jobs by 2030 and set higher profitability targets.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@then.lk or WhatsApp at 076805793. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuriya will join you next with Other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Prashansa Gunawardana. Thank you for watching and have a good night.